Of the thousands of players to have graced the hardwood floors of basketball arenas for decades, a select few soar above the rest. And this documentary will take on the challenge of choosing 10 of the most awe-inspiring and talented players of all time. Number 10. Shaquille O'Neal. With his towering 7-foot 1-inch build, Shaquille O'Neal crushed his competition on both ends of the court. In a career that spanned nearly 2 decades, O'Neal performed at the highest level of competition with 6 teams, taking home 4 NBA championships, 1 MVP award, 3 Finals MVPs, and appeared in 15 All-Star games.
Are you ready? All right, let's go.
His girth was like nothing I've ever seen. I've seen tall guys and I've seen short guys. We got Isaiah Thomas. We've had 7-footers, but he was 7 feet and he was sort of built like a doorway.
I definitely think he's in the top 10 just because he was unstoppable. He's one of those unstoppable guys. You know, as centers go, you got to have him, Kareem, Bill Russell. You know, those guys. KareemAbdulJabbar. Shaq's definitely a top 10er, I would say. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. And just a physical presence that was impossible. If he could ever have shot 10 feet or out, he would have been, he would have broken all sorts of scoring records.
You look up some of the statistics in the NBA, all-time leading scorers, all-time leading, and Shaq is up there with everybody. It kind of surprises a lot of people because he's played with so many different teams. Just when you get used to him with the Magic, he's with the Lakers, and then he's with the Suns, and then he's with the Cavaliers, and kind of when those guys move around, you kind of lose fact that they're still stacking up statistics as they move around to different cities and different organizations. He was a great student of the game. He wasn't one of those guys that said, I don't want to care about those guys in the past that wore black high tops. They looked like they were walking around, sloshing around in mud. He had great respect for the past, his predecessors. He was a great student of the game. He was a great historian of the game. He had a great respect for those who came before him. I think Shaq would have thrived in any era.
Number 9. Kobe Bryant. Checking in at number 9 is guard Kobe Bryant. Playing with the Los Angeles Lakers his entire career, Bryant is well regarded as one of the greatest offensive threats in NBA history.
His game was, again, offensively unstoppable. Shot from three-point line, could control the ball, mid-range, mid-sized guy. I mean, if there hadn't been Michael Jordan, I think there would have been Kobe Bryant. He developed the personality to go along with his game. Just an incredible all-around player. And at age 17, they drafted him. Everybody knew. There's no secret about that guy at all.
Number 8. Larry Bird. The city of Boston is known for its sports icons, but there might not be a player revered as much as Larry Bird. The scrappy Indiana native, known affectionately as the Hick from French Lick, was adopted and received well by Boston fans throughout his 13-year playing career.
He could run when he needed to run. He could jump when he needed to jump. He could play defense when he needed to play defense. He didn't have a weak part to his game. For some people, say, he wasn't a great rebounder. There's always a but he couldn't play defense. But he couldn't shoot. He couldn't go to his left. There was no weakness to Larry Bird whatsoever. I mean, he could dribble with his left, shoot with his left. He could rebound. He could pass. I mean, he could pass like a magician. I mean, he could have played for the Harlem Globetrotters. That's how clever he was with the basketball. First game he played, and I went back to my roommate, and I said, I have seen the light. The Celtics are back. I said, come on, one guy can't. I said, I'm telling you, wait till you see this guy. He's got eyes 360 degrees around his head. He passes behind his head, behind his back, through his legs. He can shoot, he can pass, he can rebound, and he just seems to elevate the play of everybody around him.
He can shoot, pass, rebound. Just a great team player. The last second shots he made were just memorable. clutch player. He's definitely a top 10 player.
Number 7, Bill Russell. If there's one thing to know about defensive marvel Bill Russell, it's that in his 13-year career, he won 11 NBA championships, the most by any player ever. Russell had such great postseason success that today the Finals MVP award bears his name. There's no doubt he's one of the most valuable players of all time.
I saw Russell from 60 through 69, and in that span of 10 years there, he only lost the championship once. That was in 67 when they lost in the conference finals to the 76ers. The Celtics aren't the type of team that hang a division championship or a conference championship banner at the rafters like some other cities do and some other teams do. They just hang NBA World Championships up there. And Bill Russell's imprint is on every single one of those that hang up at the Garden. They did it 11 out of 13, and they only lost in 59. They won 57, 58, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 68, and 69. And nobody will ever see that again. Bill Russell was the one constant during all those championships. Bill Russell made everybody around him a better basketball player. He was a great rebounder. He was a great defender and a great team player. He never cared about scoring titles. He never cared about rebounding titles. And the old saying, it's always we before me. When you think of that phrase in the dictionary, put a picture of Bill Russell right next to it. To be good in this game, you got to be unselfish. There's one basketball. There's 5 guys. Everybody wants to get their mitts on it, and he was unselfish, and that's one of the reasons he was a champion.
In addition to playing defense, I think he was just a great leader, and I think he was a great team player. I mean, look at the NBA now; it's a lot of individual stuff that goes on, and he didn't care how many points he scored. He just wanted to win, and playing defense was his thing. And how many guys could say that they're most guys want to score and pad their stats and everything, but this guy was all about playing defense, and that's the thing I think people got to remember about him.
When he walks into an arena, he has a presence about him, and everybody knows it. And all the whispers start, and fathers and grandfathers are talking to the grandson and said, there he is right there, the greatest team player and the greatest winner in the history of the NBA.
Number 6, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is one of the rare players in NBA history that got better with age. An all-around athlete, Duncan quietly led the Spurs to contention every year of his career. Mild-mannered on and off the court, Duncan led by example with his deft offensive skills and defensive prowess.
Methodical. Tim Duncan was very fundamental and methodical. He wasn't a superstar that would knock you out with his flash and with his handles and with his game. But one reason that he was so good when he came into the league out of Wake Forest is that he really developed his fundamentals in college. The bank shot, his low post moves, his footwork, his jumper. I would say his game was methodical and fundamental, nothing flashy. Remember, he won a championship in his second year and was MVP of the finals in his second year. He was first team All-NBA and an All-Star as a rookie. Go look and see the last time of anybody that made the All-Star game and started as a rookie and was first team All-NBA as a rookie. It doesn't happen very often. Duncan's career is twice as long as Jordan, Bird's, and Magic's and some of these other guys, yet the Spurs were competitive throughout the entire 20-year window. Tim Duncan had a lot of things. He was the anchor of the defense. He was a 30-point scorer in his prime. And more than that, his aura and his leadership was something that's lacking now with these Spurs. No frills. Tim's from the Virgin Islands, and he doesn't like media. He doesn't like cameras. He's really funny and really a good guy. He's really nice. But when the camera comes on, he kind of shuts down a little bit because he's kind of shy. He doesn't like being in the limelight. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's underappreciated. He played in a small market in San Antonio. I think if he played in Boston or Chicago or New York or LA, he'd be considered probably top 3 behind Jordan and Kareem. He changed a lot. He came in as a young, wide-eyed kid, just worried about, where do I fit in Texas, and to becoming, a guy that everybody just adores, and to see him become, grown man, and now with children and all that, it's cool to watch his development. He's one of the nicer people I've ever known.
Number 5, Magic Johnson. Considered by most to be the greatest point guard of all time, Earvin Magic Johnson helped lead the Lakers to 3 championships. A 12-time All-Star, Magic's infectious smile and quick wit made him a favorite of fans and players alike.
Look at Magic Johnson. Drafted in 79, he came in 80. He went to the finals almost every year. In that 10-year span, won 5 championships.
I describe Magic Johnson as a person and a player who changed the game forever. He changed the point guard position. 6'9", point guard, never happened before. He also showed that he could play center. He filled in for when Kareem was hurt. He could play any position. And above all, I've talked to players who played with him, and even the Dream Team when they practiced together in private. And guys like Bobby Hurley would say, I've never played with anybody like Michael Jordan. The way he sees everything, it brings his team together. That's something you'd only know if you were a teammate. And I've heard that from teammates of his. So that's truly magic. That's truly above and beyond his funky shot. And, he had a little junior sky hook. His game was kind of awkward almost. He's got a real high center of gravity. But what a leader, how do you what is being a leader? Is maybe the greatest leader ever.
Number 4, Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt has some of the craziest stats of all time, including an unprecedented 100-point game. Few players dominated the paint like this 13-time All-Star.
Wilt's always compared to Bill Russell, and how many times he lost to Bill Russell. It wasn't because of Wilt. The game was different then. It was all man-to-man. Could not play zone. It was illegal to play any kind of zone. So you couldn't stop Chamberlain one-on-one. You just couldn't. There were no centers that could do that. And as tall as he was, he could just, the dip, the dunk. And again, he looked almost awkward because he was so long. There just wasn't anybody like him. He was terrible at free throws except in his 100-point game. 100 points. Yeah, the guys were bad, but you can't score 100. Nobody's ever done it. But 100, I don't know. It was a different era. Wilt Chamberlain was a stupendous athlete. He was a hurdler. He was a high jumper. He could do all these things. We just hadn't seen a human being like him in the game. And that's when the dunk, was unstoppable. So for his era, it's unfair that he's always compared to Bill Russell because Chamberlain didn't win, I don't know if he won 1 or 2 championships, and that's it. But that Celtics dynasty was just unreal. Wilt may have not been as great a leader, but as an actual talented individual, he could arguably said to be the greatest basketball player ever.
Number 3, LeBron James. One of the most physically gifted athletes of any era, LeBron's outsized personality also makes him one of the most controversial players of all time. The only active player on our list, LeBron is still leading his Cleveland Cavaliers to postseason success.
LeBron is physically something that nobody can dream of being. He's built like a tight end, a linebacker. He's just gigantic with deltoids and muscles. But if he keeps winning, I think he could be, probably right now, actively, he's the closest thing to Jordan that there is. And he's got the ball skills. You see him go between his legs and around his back and spin and do all these things the way someone who's a point guard, a 6-foot point guard can do. So when he's going to the basket, he uses his physical strength in a way that nobody at that position has ever done before. You have to look at him as he continues on. I don't know how many championships he'll win, but he's working his way up to Michael Jordan or stratosphere.
Number 2, KareemAbdulJabbar. Possessing one of the most devastating shots of all time, the skyhook, Kareem earned his place in the Hall of Fame and near the top of everyone's greatest players list. He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer with 38,387 points, third in all-time rebounds, and third in all-time block shots. With 6 championships under his belt, Kareem is the one player who gave our number 1 pick a run for his money.
Yeah, I have no problem putting Kareem at number 2. You can almost put him at number 1 and not argue. Won championships. He was 7'3", in my belief, maybe 7'4". I mean, I've stood next to him. He's just way up there. And the sky hook, but people don't use it anymore, really. Magic Johnson had his baby hook. But when you think about how high it is, and he's basically throwing the ball down from a certain angle, I think that would work today.
He was such a prolific scorer and such a force in the middle.
For the way the game was back then, he played forever. He just did. He was in shape. There's nobody like him. He has the most points. He was at the top in rebounds. He's at the top in probably so many other things, blocks. Kareem, to me, watching him play when he was on and when he was doing the sky hook and the rebounds, he get every defensive rebound, and he was unstoppable on offense. I mean, what else is there?
Number 1, Michael Jordan. One of the most famous athletes in the world, and the unanimous choice of every reporter we spoke with. Practically anyone you ask will say that Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Although Kareem has him beat in career points and MVPs, Jordan went 6 for 6 in the finals, with 6 finals MVPs, while being one of the most well-rounded players ever, earning 9 defensive titles.
I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an awful song.
The way that he added to the team to make it so good with his determination and his incredible talent, that's why I'd say he was the best. One-on-one, he was virtually unstoppable. And the things he could do, his jumping ability, his perfect shot. If people forget, his shot was just magnificent. The form is exactly what you want to teach. He claimed not to have any idea because he'd just get up there and then he'd create. And that's when everything just exploded.
There's nothing to it. I believe I can fly.
The popularity that Michael Jordan was just rare athlete. He's just legendary because of what he did on the floor, because of the way he willed his team to win. Well, first of all, it's hard to dominate a game, any sport, team sport, the way one person can in basketball. If you took Michael Jordan and put him on these other teams, just did that and didn't do anything else, we figured there were about 8 teams that could win the championship just by adding him. Some games, I don't know, he made like 5, 6, 7 3-pointers. One game we were like this, he didn't know how, he was just making them all. But I think the best part of his game was he could do anything on offense, whether it was driving, whether it was a pull-up jump shot, whether it was a long jump shot, whether it was spinning, just anything. It was uncontrollable because of his physical skills. So that was rare. It was the first time people realized that a guy who's mid-sized like that could control a game.
But first I know it starts inside of me. Oh, if I can see it, then I can be it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly.
At certain moments, certain players are better than anybody else. Maybe for just that year, or something that can't be stopped. That's an incredible thing. But you got to, every time you move somebody up, you got to move somebody down. You know, so you got Jordan at #1, and you know, Kareem and Magic and Bird and all these guys. I mean, they're all so good in different ways. Their games were different. So ranking them, you know, you got to think about basketball as a team game too. But those guys were all superior athletes, and they all had incredible wills to win. But it's a sports and winning IQ, maybe, that also has to do with great pride.